All right, let's get started. I'm Anna.
And I'm Ben.
We're not wasting any time today. We're diving straight into the latest DoD report on China because there's one key takeaway we need to focus on: a hard deadline for Taiwan. Think of this as an urgent intelligence brief. We're here to give you the essential facts and fast. Okay, so let's just rip the Band-Aid off. The single most critical finding in this entire report is a date: 2027. Beijing has officially directed the PLA, the People's Liberation Army, to have the full capability to not just fight, but win a war over Taiwan by that year. And you gotta understand, this isn't just some aspirational goal. It's become the central organizing principle for their entire military modernization. Wow, that is a sobering timeline, for sure. So let's break that down. When they say winning a war, what does that actually mean in practical terms? Like, what specific capabilities does the PLA need to have in place by 2027 to be able to check that box? Right, and the report lays it out pretty clearly. It's basically a three-part strategy. First, they need to be able to win a straight-up fight over Taiwan. And, this is key, even if the US gets involved. Second, they need the power, and that includes their nuclear arsenal, to make the US think twice about even showing up, to deter us from intervening in the first place. And third, they need to make sure no one else in the region gets any bright ideas during a conflict. So when you look at it, this is so much bigger than just a plan for Taiwan. It's about controlling the entire battlefield, the entire environment. Okay, a strategy that ambitious, well, that's going to take some serious cash. So how are they paying for all this? Does the report give us a sense of the money behind this massive military buildup? Oh, it absolutely does. I mean, just look at this chart. China's announced defense budget has gone up for more than 20 years straight. It's almost doubled just since Xi Jinping took power, hitting $231 billion this year. And, that's just what they're admitting to. The report makes it pretty clear that the real number is probably a lot higher. This right here, this is the financial engine that's driving everything we're talking about. And all that money is buying some seriously advanced hardware, right? We're talking hypersonic missiles, AI-driven systems, and now the biggest navy in the world. But can we make this more concrete? Give us a tangible example of how this stuff translates into a direct threat, in a real Taiwan scenario. Yeah, absolutely. And this map from the report, it just visualizes that threat perfectly. See these overlapping rings? That's China's layered missile capability. And these aren't just lines on a map. They show how the PLA can do two things at once. First, completely saturate Taiwan with missile fire, and second, hold U.S. Navy ships at risk way out in the Philippine Sea. It's the textbook definition of an anti-access/area denial strategy. The whole point is to keep us out, to defeat an American intervention before it can even get started. Okay, so we've got the deadline, the overall strategy, and the hardware. Let's talk about the actual playbook. What specific military options is the PLA working on to force unification? The report lays out a pretty clear escalation ladder. It starts with something they call coercion short of war. So think cyber attacks, knocking out power grids, maybe some limited strikes on infrastructure. Basically, anything to create panic and push Taiwan's leaders to the negotiating table on Beijing's terms. If that doesn't work, they could escalate to a joint blockade campaign. That's where they try to cut off all air and sea traffic to the island, basically trying to starve it into surrender. And then there's the big one, the most dangerous option: the Joint Island Landing Campaign. We're talking a full-scale D-Day-style amphibious invasion to take the island by brute force. And that's the key question, isn't it? Are these just contingency plans sitting on a shelf somewhere, or are they actually preparing to pull the trigger on one of these? What's the report say about their readiness, about what we can actually see them doing? Well, the evidence is pretty overwhelming. Just look at this map of the PLA's major exercise zones over the last few years. The pattern is just undeniable. These huge exercises, like the Joint Sword Series, they're not just routine drills. They are full-on dress rehearsals for the exact blockade and strike plans we were just talking about. They are practicing how to encircle Taiwan, how to coordinate all their forces, and how to fine-tune the very operations they would need to isolate the island. And it's not just about those big, flashy exercises, right? It feels like there's this constant, daily military pressure campaign going on, too. It's designed to just wear Taiwan down. I think the report calls it creating a new normal. That's it exactly. And to put a number on it, during one of those recent exercises, they set a brand new record. They sent 111 aircraft across the Taiwan Straits median line in a single day. But it's not really about breaking records. Every single one of those flights, every naval patrol, it's a tool that's doing several jobs at once. For the PLA, it's incredibly realistic training, but it's also a deliberate campaign to exhaust Taiwan's pilots and their equipment, forcing them to scramble jets constantly. And maybe most importantly, it's trying to erase that median line buffer zone and psychologically normalize a state of constant crisis. It's like a war of a thousand cuts.
So, is the political talk from Beijing matching all this military pressure? It really is. The report points out a really telling shift in their language. If you look here, you can see how phrases like peaceful unification, which used to be standard, are now just gone. They're being consistently left out of major political reports. It might seem subtle, but it's a crystal clear signal that Beijing's patience is wearing thin.
Okay, so let's just recap the briefing. We've got a 2027 deadline, a comprehensive three-part strategy, the massive funding to make it happen, and we see them actively rehearsing their exact plans. On top of all that, the political rhetoric is hardening to match. The intelligence here is unambiguous. So, for any policymaker listening, it leaves one single question on the table. What does our readiness and the readiness of our allies need to look like to effectively counter this 2027 timeline?